Here are 80 practice questions to test your knowledge of all the numbers you need to remember for your Certified Food Protection Manager exam. These questions are based on the 2017 FDA Food Code, the version being currently tested on by all major exam companies as of June 2022. Question 1. Comminuted means a mixture of blank or more types of meat that have been reduced in size and combined. 1, 2, 3, or 4. B. 2. Question 2. pH values between 0 and 7 indicate acidity, and values between 7 and blank indicate alkalinity. 10, 12, 14, or 20. C. 14. Question 3. A packaged food with a pH of 4.8 or less and a water activity of blank or less is considered a non-time temperature control for safety, or TCS, food. 0.99, 0.98, 0.96, or 0.95. D. 0.95. Question 4. An unpackaged food with a pH of 4.8 or less and a water activity of blank or less is considered a non-time temperature control for safety, TCS, food. 0.90, 0.91, 0.92, or 0.93. A. 0.90. Question 5. Shell stock identification tags must be maintained on premises for at least how many days after sale? 10 days, 30 days, 90 days, or 365 days. C. 90 days. Question 6. There are currently blank major food allergens. After January 1st, 2023, there will be 9 when sesame will be required to be labeled. 5, 6, 7, or 8. D. 8. Question 7. What is the minimum internal cooking temperature for raw foods cooked in a microwave oven? 187 degrees Fahrenheit, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, or 135 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 8. The permit holder must require food employees to report a diagnosis within the past blank months of typhoid fever unless employee received antibiotic therapy. 2, 3, 4, or 6. B. 3. Question 9. The permit holder must require food employees to report exposure to norovirus within the past blank hours of the last exposure. 24, 48, 36, or 72. B. 48. Question 10. The permit holder must require food employees to report exposure to E. coli or Shigella within the past blank days of the last exposure. 10, 9, 5, or 3. D. 3. Question 11. The permit holder must require food employees to report exposure to typhoid fever within the past blank days of the last exposure. 7, 14, 18, or 30. B. 14. Question 12. The permit holder must require food employees to report exposure to hepatitis A virus within the past blank days of the last exposure. 7, 14, 18, or 30. D. 30. Question 13. Unless provided with medical documentation, a person in charge must exclude an employee whose onset of jaundice occurred within the last blank days. 1, 3, 5, or 7. D. 7. Question 14. A person in charge may reinstate a food employee who had vomiting or diarrhea if they are asymptomatic for at least blank hours. 12, 18, 24, or 48. C. 24. Question 15. When hand washing, a food employee must vigorously scrub with soap for at least blank seconds. 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, or 25 to 30. A. 10 to 15. Question 16. A hand antiseptic solution used as a hand dip must be at a strength equivalent to at least blank milligrams per liter or parts per million chlorine. 25, 50, 75, or 100. D. 100. Question 17. Refrigerated time temperature control for safety, or TCS, food must be received at blank degrees Fahrenheit or below. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, or 45 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 18. To prevent contamination when tasting, a food employee may not use a utensil more than blank to taste food that is to be sold or served. Once, twice, 3 times, or 1 shift. A. Once. Question 19. During food preparation or dispensing, utensils may be stored in a container of standing water at a temperature of at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 125 degrees Fahrenheit, 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 20. If used, single-use gloves must only be used for blank tasks. 1, 2, 3, or 4. A. 1. Question 21. In a food establishment, food must be protected from contamination by storing the food at least blank inches above the floor. 4, 6, 8, or 12. B. 6. Question 22. Whole meat roasts must be cooked to 135 degrees Fahrenheit with a holding time of 112 minutes, or as high as 145 degrees Fahrenheit with a holding time of blank minutes. 4, 8, 16, or 32. A. 4. Question 23. Food cooked in a microwave must be allowed to stand covered for blank minutes after cooking to obtain temperature equilibrium. 2, 4, 6, or 8. A. 2. Question 24. Raw animal foods that are cooked using a non-continuous cooking process are limited to blank minutes during the initial heating process. 20, 30, 45, or 60. D. 60. Question 25. To ensure parasite destruction, ready-to-eat raw or partially cooked fish must be frozen and stored at a temperature of -4 degrees Fahrenheit or below for a minimum of blank hours in a freezer. 4, 24, 15, or 168. D. 168. Question 26. The person in charge must ensure parasite destruction records are retained for blank days beyond the sale of the fish. 30, 60, 90, or 120. C. 90. Question 27. Ready-to-eat, or RTE, time temperature control for safety, or TCS, food that is being reheated for hot holding must reach a temperature of blank degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. 135, 145, 155, or 165. D. 165. Question 28. Commercially processed and packaged RTE TCS foods must only be heated to blank degrees Fahrenheit for hot holding. 135, 145, 155, or 165. A. 135. Question 29. Reheating for hot holding must not exceed a period of blank hours. 2, 3, 4, or 5. A. 2. Question 30. Juice without a warning label packaged in a food establishment under a HACCP plan must achieve a blank log reduction, 99.999%, in target microorganisms. 1, 3, 5, or 7. C. 5. Question 31. TCS food that is slacked, thawed, to moderate the temperature must be held under refrigeration that maintains the food temperature at blank degrees Fahrenheit or less. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or 65 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 32. When thawing food under running water, the water temperature must be blank degrees Fahrenheit or less. 32, 41, 65, or 70. D. 70. Question 33. When cooling cooked TCS food, it must be cooled from 135 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within the first blank hours. 1, 2, 4, or 6. B. 2. Question 34. When cooling cooked TCS food, it must be cooled from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit within the next blank hours for a total of 6 hours. 1, 2, 4, or 6. C. 4. Question 35. TCS foods held in hot holding must be held at blank degrees Fahrenheit or more. 125, 135, 145, or 155. B. 135. Question 36. TCS foods held in cold holding must be held at blank degrees Fahrenheit or less. 0, 32, 41, or 45. C. 41. Question 37. Hand washing sinks must be able to provide water at a temperature of at least 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, or 120 degrees Fahrenheit? B. 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 38. Eggs that have not been treated to destroy all viable salmonella must be stored in a refrigerator at blank degrees Fahrenheit or less. 0, 32, 41, or 45. D. 45. Question 39. RTE-TCS foods prepared in a food establishment and held for longer than 24 hours can be held for a maximum of blank days at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or less. 2, 4, 7, or 14. C. 7. Question 40. When storing RTE-TCS food in a refrigerator for 7 days, the day of preparation is considered day blank. 0, 1, 2, or 3. B. 1. Question 41. If RTE-TCS food is prepared and placed in a refrigerator on September 1st, what is the discard date? September 1st, September 7th, September 8th, or September 10th? B. September 7th. Question 42. If today is September 1st, and the manufacturer's expiration date for an RTE-TCS food is September 4th, what is the discard date? September 1st, September 7th, September 4th, or September 10th? C. September 4th. Question 43. Raw eggs must be received in refrigerated equipment that maintains an ambient air temperature of less than or equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, less than or equal to 41 degrees Fahrenheit, less than or equal to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, or less than or equal to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. C. Less than or equal to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 44. Sinks for manual warewashing must have at least blank compartments unless otherwise approved by the regulatory authority. 2, 3, 4, or 5. B. 3. Question 45. Self-closing, slow-closing, or metering faucets must provide a flow of water for at least blank seconds without the need to reactivate the faucet. 10, 15, 20, or 30. B. 15. Question 46. If time, not temperature, is used as the public health control, hot foods with an initial temperature of at least 135 degrees may be held for up to blank hours. 1, 2, 4, or 6. C. 4. Question 47. If time, not temperature, is used as the public health control, cold foods with an initial temperature of 41 degrees Fahrenheit or less may be held for up to blank hours. 1, 2, 4, or 6. D. 6. Question 48. Cold foods held without temperature control may be held up to 6 hours only if the food does not exceed blank degrees Fahrenheit during the 6-hour period. 41, 45, 70, or 100. C. 70. Question 49. Food thermometers must be accurate to plus or minus blank degrees Fahrenheit. 2, 4, 6, or 8. A. 2. Question 50. Air temperature measuring devices must be accurate to plus or minus blank degrees Fahrenheit. 2, 3, 4, or 6. B. 3. Question 51. Time temperature control for safety, TCS, food that is received hot must be received at what temperature? Greater than or equal to 125 degrees Fahrenheit, greater than or equal to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, greater than or equal to 145 degrees Fahrenheit, or greater than or equal to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. B. Greater than or equal to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 52. A vending machine holding cold TCS food must automatically shut off if the interior ambient air temperature exceeds 41 degrees Fahrenheit for more than blank minutes. 10, 20, 30, or 60. C. 30. Question 53. A vending machine holding hot TCS food must automatically shut off if the interior ambient air temperature is less than 135 degrees Fahrenheit for more than blank minutes. 110, 120, 130, or 160. B. 120. Question 54. An air gap between the faucet and the flood rim of the sink must be at least blank the diameter of the supply pipe and not less than 1 inch. Twice, 3 times, the same as, or 4 times. A. Twice. Question 55. Water temperature measuring devices on warewashing, dishwashing machines must have temperature increments of no greater than blank degrees Fahrenheit. 1, 2, 4, or 10. B. 2. Question 56. Food temperature measuring devices, thermometers, must have temperature increments of no greater than blank degrees Fahrenheit. 1, 2, 4, or 10. B. 2. Question 57. Hot water used to sanitize during manual warewashing, dishwashing, must be maintained at a temperature of at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 135, 145, 171, or 180. C. 171. Question 58. Floor-mounted equipment that is not easily movable must be either sealed to the floor or elevated on legs that provide a blank inch clearance. 1, 3, 4, or 6. D. 6. Question 59. Food that is received frozen must be received less than or equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, less than or equal to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, solidly frozen, or less than or equal to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. C. Solidly frozen. Question 60. If a salad bar has 20 different food options, there should be blank different serving utensils. 10, 15, 20, or 40. C. 20. Question 61. Counter-mounted equipment that is not easily movable must be elevated on legs that provide at least blank inches of clearance. 1, 3, 4, or 6. C. 4. Question 62. 3-compartment sinks must be cleaned at least once every blank hours. 4, 12, 24, or 48. C. 24. Question 63. The temperature of the wash water in a 3-compartment sink must be maintained at a temperature of at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 110, 120, 130, or 140. A. 110. Question 64. In a stationary rack, single-temperature dishwashing machine, the temperature of the hot water sanitizing rinse must be at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 165, 170, 175, or 180. A. 165. Question 65. In all other dishwashing machines, except stationary rack single temperature, the temperature of the hot water sanitizing rinse must be at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 165, 170, 175, or 180. D. 180. Question 66. When chlorine sanitizer has a concentration of 50 to 99 parts per million or milligrams per liter and a pH of 10 or less, the minimum solution temperature must be at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 90, 95, 98, or 100. D. 100. Question 67. A test kit or other device that measures the concentration of iodine in a sanitizing solution must read 12.5 parts per million to blank parts per million to comply. 20, 25, 50, or 200. B. 25. Question 68. When using a quaternary ammonium sanitizer, the concentration is specified by the manufacturer and the solution temperature should be at least blank degrees Fahrenheit. 50, 65, 70, or 75. D. 75. Question 69. Equipment and utensils used with TCS foods must be cleaned at least once every blank hours. 4, 8, 16, or 24. A. 4. Question 70. The food contact surfaces of cooking and baking equipment must be cleaned at least every blank hours. 2, 4, 24, or 48. C. 24. Question 71. A temporary food establishment is one that operates for a period of no more than blank consecutive days in conjunction with a single event or celebration. 5, 10, 14, or 30. C. 14. Question 72. A food worker must wash their hands and exposed portions of their arms for at least blank seconds, making sure to scrub for 10 to 15 seconds. 20, 30, 45, or 60. A. 20. Question 73. A contact time of at least blank seconds is required for a chlorine solution of 50 parts per million at a pH of 10 or less and a temperature of at least 100 degrees Fahrenheit. 5, 7, 30, or 60. B. 7. Question 74. All other sanitizer solutions, except chlorine-based, have a minimum contact time of blank seconds. 5, 7, 30, or 60. C. 30. Question 75. Cleaned equipment and utensils, laundered linens, and single-use articles must be stored at least blank inches above the floor. 2, 4, 6, or 8. C. 6. Question 76. Water from a non-public water system, well water, must be sampled and tested at least blank per year. Once, twice, 3 times, or 4 times. A. Once. Question 77. The minimum internal cooking temperature for poultry, ballots, stuffed foods, and stuffing containing meat is blank degrees Fahrenheit instantaneously or less than 1 second, 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, 155 degrees Fahrenheit, or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. D. 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 78. The minimum internal cooking temperature for whole muscle beef, pork, and all seafood is blank for 15 seconds. 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, 155 degrees Fahrenheit, or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 79. The minimum internal cooking temperature for ground beef, ground pork, ground game, and ground seafood is blank for 17 seconds. 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, 155 degrees Fahrenheit, or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 155 degrees Fahrenheit. Question 80. The minimum internal cooking temperature for plant-based foods that are going into hot holding is 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, 155 degrees Fahrenheit, or 165 degrees Fahrenheit. A. 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your exam.